Welcome back everybody to Battlefield 6, and you know what? The last few content updates for this game have been solid ones. The addition of Wake Island now, Battlefield Heritage, it takes the game into a place that it should have been a long time ago. We've got urban combat from launch, we've now got the meat grinders like Hagenthal Base from Season 2, we've got massive ground war maps like Golmud Railway from Season 3 and Mirak Valley, and now we've got the naval warfare chaos of Suru Reef and Wake Island. The team keeps delivering the kind of content that players have been asking for, which is awesome to see now. Wake Island in Battlefield 6 is probably the most detailed and asset-rich version of the map that we've ever seen, and we've seen it about 6 times now. It does mimic the setup of Battlefield 5's version quite a bit, but with all of the areas upgraded and modernized to fit a modern warfare setting rather than World War II. You can still find some areas, though, that suggest it previously played host to some historic Battlefield action, and if you go up to the very tip of the atoll, you can see this plaque that's been set down by the dev team, which is a really nice touch. It's a vehicle player's dream, this map, with access to ground vehicles like IFVs and MBTs, and transport vehicles, and then there's air vehicles, including all 3 chopper types. Yes, the attack chopper that everybody said was missing from Suru Reef is here on Wake Island. And then there's the attack and rib boats on the water as well. There's about 15 different vehicle spawns at each team's HQ on the Conquest game mode, which is kind of mental. But when you look at Wake Island and the kind of play space that you've got here, did we really expect anything different? It's definitely a map that looks like it's going to be dominated by vehicles. One thing I am going to point out, though, where the hell are the jet skis? I've seen Temporyal on Twitter post a video of him using a jet ski in Battlefield 6, and they look to be fully functional, so why haven't those been added yet? We've now got 2 naval warfare maps in the game, and we don't have the water-based equivalent of the quad bike to use on them, so it seems like Battlefield Studios might have forgotten to add them. I've mainly been playing the map on Breakthrough, which is pretty much a first for me in Battlefield 6. I basically can't stand Breakthrough and what it's become in this game. But here on Wake Island, I think it actually works really, really well. Because the atoll itself is very thin, almost horseshoe-like in shape, it makes for a really good linear push game mode, exactly like Breakthrough, with all the sectors and all the capture points spaced around the island. Infantry are obviously a massive part of a game mode like Breakthrough, and it's clear that the developers realize that this might be a bit of an issue, considering the massive expanses of water that those players might have to cross. So they added this really cool feature, these massive towers in the water with zip lines on them that connect them to the aircraft carrier when you start the match as an attacker, and it takes you all the way to the shores of the island. Really cool way to start the match, and it kind of reminds me of some of the previous rush game modes in older Battlefield games that had those epic starts, like Operation Metro, where you actually started outside the metro in the Paris Park, and then Port Valdez in Bad Company 2, where in the first sector of a rush attack, you'd actually parachute out of a C-130 and land on the ground and go from there. It gives me similar vibes. It's not quite the same, it's not quite as epic as that, but it's still got that thought to it, and it definitely makes the start of a match as an attacker a lot more memorable than some other versions of Breakthrough in Battlefield 6. When you play the map on Conquest, the classic way to experience Wake Island, you are going to notice just how many vehicles there are. Infantry players, if you're struggling to survive, my advice is just to get comfortable with using some of the ground transport vehicles at the very least to take you from point to point, rather than moving around on foot all the time. You've got helis and jets in the sky, boats in the water, tanks on land, and overall the map is very flat, so visibility is quite easy for those vehicles. You're just no match for them moving about, so really the only option is you've got to increase your speed and try and outrun some of those dangers. It's a little bit like when Season 3 launched and Golmud Railway was added. We've got another similar situation here, where the map is designed to support other playstyles rather than just infantry, which is something that Battlefield 6 has sorely needed, but that doesn't mean as an infantry player you can't thrive, because you absolutely can. Engineer is the class that you want to pick, equip that RPG or an AT4, drop a bunch of mines on the road as you're moving around the map, and start trying to pick off armoured vehicles with your squad. It is surprising how effective you can actually be as long as you pick and choose your battles. There's simply no point of you trying to solo take down an IFV that vastly outpowers you and will likely pick you off instantly. I found that working just a couple of different points on the map, sticking with those and defending them when you take them, and then maybe attacking a nearby point if it's not too far away, is the best way to succeed. Now, when it comes to the new Interdictor sniper rifle that was introduced with this update, well, the news isn't the best. Despite it being described and somewhat hyped up by Battlefield as being the longest range sniper in Battlefield 6 so far, I can't really say that's been my experience, to be honest. Bullet velocity maxes out at 915 meters per second, so it loses out to a couple of other options that you could pick. There's no ADS bolt attachment at all, which means you have to scope out to cycle the bolt before firing your next round. That massively hurts your effectiveness in gunfights, and you have to sacrifice ammo capacity if you want to shorten the ADS time to try and offset that missing ADS bolt. Now, the build that I've been working with uses the extended barrel to get you that 915 meters per second bullet velocity. I've got a 3-round magazine on here, paired with the mag catch to give me better ADS speed and as fast a reload as I can get. Anything other than the 3-round mag either increases your reload time or it slows down your ADS speed. So this is kinda the best of all evils, I guess you could say. And then I've put the slim angled grip on here to try and speed up the responsiveness of the weapon, as well as it contributing to the fastest ADS speed that you can get on this thing. But what it lacks in performance, it more than makes up for in sound and visuals. I think this is one of the best looking snipers in Battlefield 6 right now. I'm still not really a fan of the way most of the weapons sit on the screen in this game, but the Interdictor does do a good job of looking pretty cool, and it sounds awesome as well. Stod actually described it best the other day when we were playing. Without a suppressor on it, each shot sounds like somebody absolutely slamming an overpumped basketball onto the ground. It's a weird description, but when you hear it, it kind of works. Aesthetically, the Interdictor is really nice, but genuinely, I did expect more from it. It has a sweet spot range of 120 to 150 meters, which I guess does technically check the box of it being a sniper that has long-range attributes, but I think it's been poorly positioned overall. It's based on the Desert Tech HTI, which is an anti-material rifle, but here in Battlefield 6, it's chambered in 10.4 by 83mm, meaning it's not technically a 50 cal sniper, which would have been awesome. That then could have been positioned as not only a sniper that you could use against soft targets, but maybe against heavier targets as well. I think DICE should actually rebalance this and give it greater damage against vehicles, especially considering the update and season that it's gone live in. All of those boats, all of those choppers out there on Wake Island and Suru Reef that need taking down, and the developers missed the opportunity to add a proper anti-vehicle sniper option into the game. That's a bit of a shame for me. But since we're speaking about the weapons, Battlefield Studios did also add several new attachments with this update. I didn't really see them advertised anywhere, and I struggle with why they wouldn't advertise them, because it's essentially new content that they're not talking about, but hey-ho, what do I know? 3 new hybrid suppressors have been added, and a canted grip for specific LMGs. The hybrid suppressors, they essentially combine the benefits of a suppressor, which is keeping you off the minimap, with some small benefits to recoil control, at the expense of hipfire accuracy, weapon sway, and draw speed of varying degrees. The hybrid suppressor K is the best of the bunch, but it costs 50 attachment points. Who in their right mind is going to pick that thing? A decent player could probably just stick with the basic suppressor that costs 20 points, and then spend those extra 30 on other elements of the weapon. I'm not really sure I understand how the devs are approaching things when it comes to weapons right now. It's basically essential to run a suppressor in Battlefield 6 because the team refuses to rebalance them and make other muzzle attachments meaningful. And now we've got 3 more suppressors coming into the game that just add some of the other muzzle attachment benefits into a suppressor. It's weird. It feels like they just kind of admitted defeat with the way they're balancing things and then are just giving people everything they want in one attachment, which defeats the point of the entire attachment system. It should be relatively simple a task to sit down, work out a better balance overall, to weaken the suppressors and buff the other muzzle options, but that doesn't seem to be happening. Instead, we're getting all-in-one attachments at a massive cost instead of more options at lower cost. Again, it just doesn't seem to make any sense to me. Then we've got the canted vertical. This is a brand new underbarrel attachment for the heavier light machine guns in the game. For example, you can't equip it on the DRS IAR, but you can equip it on the M60. It improves hipfire accuracy and weapon draw speed, so I think it's an option that you could use, maybe equip it onto some of your guns if you want a bit more versatility in closer range engagements. There is, of course, the entire Top Gun collaboration in this update too. The addition of the Carrier Strike game mode, that Jet Gauntlet game mode where I literally can't get a kill because I don't know how to fly jets. And there's an event tab in the main menu that lets you unlock a bunch of nice cosmetic items for free. There are some bundles in the store as well. Those are paid, which is basically the entire point of a collab like this. Each brand leverages their individual pull to try and get you to part with some of your cash, so I'll leave that to you to decide if that's something that you want to take part in. But for me, I expected more from the Carrier Strike game mode, mainly because it's only on Suru Reef. Why? Wake Island just launched, and you don't put the game mode on your brand new map. Again, I don't understand. We could have had the mode on Suru Reef and Wake Island, and had a nice playlist there that isn't just playing the same thing over and over and over again. But no, it's only on Suru. Now, Suru Reef is a great map. I've said that before. I've really enjoyed playing it for the last few weeks. And they've now added aircraft carriers to the map as well, so on Conquest you spawn on those instead of spawning on the ground, which is a nice addition. But Carrier Strike being only on Suru Reef is kind of disappointing. I wanted to play it on Wake Island, and I thought that's what we'd be able to do, but apparently we won't be able to do that. I think really the most important thing with this update, though, was the addition of the Wake Island map, and thankfully the team has absolutely nailed that addition. The map is awesome, it's going to throw up some nostalgic feelings, but it delivers in a 2026 way. So overall, I think the team has done a pretty good job at bringing Wake Island back into Battlefield, and this version for Battlefield 6, well, it does exactly what you'd expect a Pacific Atoll map to do. It brings the vehicles. As I've said, Infantry can shine here, but if you want something more Infantry focused, then I would recommend the Breakthrough game mode, which I have been enjoying quite a lot, and it's nice to see the dev team stick the course that they started with Season 3. They're listening to players and they're delivering the kinds of content that was sorely lacking when the game launched. Do I think this is going to massively surge Battlefield 6's popularity? Probably not. The game is too far past its launch now to really turn things around in terms of player numbers, but as I keep saying, I just sincerely hope that the powers that be, the people in charge, are seeing what happened post-launch with that disastrous plan that they had in Season 1, the massive fall-off in player numbers, and what's happening now in Season 3 and Season 4, where the people who actually play Battlefield games are here, enjoying the kinds of content that Battlefield fans love. The all-out warfare, the rock, paper, scissors gameplay, the sandbox moments. This is what Battlefield is all about. I hope lessons will be learned for the next Battlefield game, which I'm guessing is coming in 2027 or 2028. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Drop a like if you did, and I'll catch you in the next one.